Hey everyone, today we have some entitled parents stories. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And enjoy. Next story is by the user u/miss_flaming. So my sister is pregnant, and because I knit, she has asked me to make baby blankets and the like. I agreed to do so as a gift to her and the baby. I'm not charging her for my time or any of the materials I have used. I'm not making anything other than the blanket, as I often cook for her and her boyfriend and will be looking after the baby for free. The entitlement started when she messaged me to ask if I would do a photo shoot for her, as I did photography as a GCSE and own a camera. I asked if I would get paid, as I would have to travel to her and use my time to do the photo shoot and then edit the images, and she said no. I would get food or drink, as she wasn't going to pay the photographer who she was planning on hiring. I told her no, and she said that as her sibling I should do it. She said I should do it even though we don't live in the same city, and that she would pay for a taxi. I told her that paying for a taxi is not the same as paying me. She said she would ask my twin, and I told to do that then. If enough people want it, I have screenshots of the conversation. Edit. I keep getting comments saying that it's not entitled and that that's what families are for. Me and my sister are not close. We never have been, and she is often extremely rude to me. My gift to her is the blanket which I am knitting for her. We have several other sisters who aren't getting/making anything for her, so I think it's unfair to say that families should do stuff like this. I'm also a full-time college student with a part-time job for the people saying that she's not asking too much. Next story is by the user PotatoDog123, and this story, of course, that the EP is none other than my mother. As a gift for my 13th birthday, I received some art supplies from Dad. Yes, from Father. Mother didn't even buy them, but she thinks she did. The conversation was something like this. Hello op, I need 5 paintings for some family members. You have 2 hours. Me, but Mom, it's my birthday and I don't really feel like drawing, and you know how long it takes for me to paint. Excuse me? I didn't think I raised an asshole, but I guess that's what life gives me. No one is going to give you art supplies anymore with this behavior. Me, I'm okay. Then give me €2 per painting. It was clearly sarcastic. Lol. What did you just say to me? Do you really think I'm going to pay my own child to do something that I want? Next time expect no gift from me. She was basically yelling at this point. You're an asshole. You mistake. And she leaves. She didn't even remember that on that day it was my birthday. I reminded her in a casual conversation. She didn't buy me a gift, which doesn't bother me because I'm not entitled to gifts. I only wanted her to remember, but too bad I guess. 9 days later, so today, she's still mad at me for not making free paintings. So what does dear mother do? Like any normal human being, she destroys some of my other paintings, and she took the ones she didn't destroy. I had to apologize for this, somehow. The next post is by the user Nora. This happened years ago when I was working as a grocery store cashier. The way my store was set up, it had a rotating baggage area with a hard top. So we would place large items and filled bags on top for the cashier, or customer, to load into the cart and then spin to access new bags. And then EP comes along to my line with her 3 little gremlins. Now these kids were absolutely old enough to know how to behave in public. I start scanning their groceries when the kids starting spinning the baggage area as fast as they could, which stopped me from being able to bag. I leaned over the bagging area and asked the kids to please stop when the oldest of the gremlins slammed one of the bag hooks into my leg as hard as he could with a shit-eating grin on his face. I asked the mom, who was engrossed in her phone and not paying attention at all, if she could please move her kids away from the bagging area so I could finish up their order. Without looking at me, she huffed. What are you complaining about? Just finish. I placed a 12-pack of soda on the turnstile and briefly looked away to finish the order when one of her kids grabbed the area as hard as they could, which caused the soda to go flying and burst all over the floor in my register. This got EP's attention and she sneered. Seriously, what is wrong with you? I'm running late. Now get me a new case of soda. And I will admit that I let out a soft sigh. Now this really got her attention. She started screaming at anyone who would listen that she will never come here again and that I'm a horrible person. My boss comes out and EP shrieks. Who pissed in her fucking cereal? She was harassing me and my kids. I want her out. My boss managed to coax her out of my line and finally got her to leave. Thankfully the customer behind EP stuck around to let my boss know what really happened. Even though this happened years ago, I still get angry thinking about that lady and her horrible children. The next story is by the user, The Depression Oftres. This happened when I was about 8 years old, and my parents only recently reminded me that this happened. For some background information, I am really allergic to potatoes. They give me blisters all over my mouth, and make me violently ill for about 2 days after eating them. Anyway, onto the story. When I was about 8 years old, I was having a sleepover with my best friend. My mom dropped me off at about noon, so I was going to have dinner at their house. My mother specifically told my friend's mother that I was allergic to potatoes, so she could make something without them. When dinner came around, my friend and I went to eat. His mother had made us a casserole, but little did I know, the main ingredient was potatoes. We ate dinner, then went and played until we went to bed. At around midnight, I woke up with my mouth full of bleeding blisters. I ran to the toilet and started violently throwing up. Let me tell you, stomach acid does not feel good on open blisters. I was crying on the floor, blood and puke leaking from my mouth, when the mother walks into the bathroom. She tells me that I need to stop being so dramatic if I want to go anywhere in life and that allergies aren't real unless you let them. Just a reminder, she's saying this to a crying 8-year-old child, who's dry heaving over the toilet, bleeding from the mouth. She goes back to bed, leaving me in the bathroom for the rest of the night. Morning comes around, my mom comes to pick me up. Through my blistered mouth, I tell her what happened. She goes ballistic. She tells me to go to the car. I can hear her screaming at the other mother from outside. Sufficient to say, that was the last time I ever hung out with my friend at his house. DL, doctor, I'm allergic to potatoes. M feeds me potatoes without my knowledge, calls me dramatic for having an allergic reaction. Next post was posted by the user, Madison_Rhodes. Hey everyone, so this actually happened like a few weeks ago. Backstory. Because of coronavirus, me and my friends have been going on walks together on the weekend because we're getting quite unfit as we're no longer allowed in the school gym. We go to school together, so it doesn't matter if we're with each other anyway as long as we're staying outside. I will also be using fake names for privacy reasons. E.P. Entitled Parent. E.K. Entitled Kid. Me. Friend 1, Emma. Friend 2, Alice. Me and my friends went on a 3-hour walk up a local public high-terrain area. That day it was really muddy and slippery, so we fell over a few times and got slightly muddy. There was also a river nearby where we were. Because of how slippery the mud was that day, because there was high rainfall the day before, we nearly fell into the river a couple of times as it was close to the trail we were walking up. Since we were slipping close to the edge a few times, we squealed as we didn't want to get cold and soggy. As we got higher in the area close to the top, we saw E, P, and E.K. standing next to a tree with binoculars. At that point we were listening to music, which was a vibe BTW. E.P. starts waving at us and we thought they liked the music, so we started dancing and she made a face which made her look really angry. We then walked up to her on deck. I saw you. E.P. said. Okay? Replied Emma, I saw you kill that rabbit. E.P. repeated. Sorry, but are you sure that was us? We were nearby the river trying not to fall and I said. No, stop lying, we saw you. You can't kill animals here unless you own this land. She shouted. Well lady, calm down. We didn't kill any rabbits, intact I haven't seen any today. Said Alice. You killed the rabbit, said Egg. She looked around 4 or 5 years old. We're leaving, we didn't kill any rabbit, replied Emma. We then left. In the distance we heard Egg screaming I'm calling the police whilst waving her hands frantically in the air. We whispered whatever and kept on walking around the trail. After 20 minutes the police never showed and we assumed she wasn't going to call the police as she was in the wrong. 10 more minutes had passed and as we were going to leave the area, a police car pulled up with 2 officers inside. They stopped us and asked us if we were the ones supposedly killing rabbit. We told them no, but the lady kept saying she saw us and heard the rabbit screaming. It's them, E.P. shouted from behind us. She must have been following us. After 30 minutes of talking it out with the police, they decided to let us go as the lady didn't have a clear story and kept changing it and being controlling towards the officers. Thankfully our parents weren't called and everything was well. The lady was charged for wasting police officers' time, and thankfully a situation like this hasn't happened again. Although I do have many E.P. stories in the past. Let me know if you want to hear more, and also sorry for the way this was structured. Thank you for watching, and here is a joke to send you all off on a good note. Those entitled parent tickle the nerve. Unfortunately, there's only one space left that day, so the angel must decide which of them gets in. The angel asks Dolly if there's some particular reason why she should go to heaven. Dolly takes off her top and says, look at these, they're the most perfect breasts God ever created, and I'm sure it will please God to be able to see them every day, for eternity. The angel thanks Dolly, and asks Her Majesty the same question. The Queen takes a bottle of Perrier out of her purse, drinks it down. Then, pees into a toilet and pulls the lever. The angel says, "Okay, Your Majesty, you may go in." Dolly is outraged and asks, "What was that all about? I show you two of God's own perfect creations and you turn me down." She pees into a toilet and she gets in. "Sorry, Dolly," says the angel, "but even in heaven, a royal flush beats a pair. No matter how big they are."